If you're in a position to decide which media to use in your online course, you might find it useful to think about some very basic questions. To what end? What is the media intended to do? Is it intended simply to present existing knowledge? Does it challenge students to rethink or remodel knowledge and to repurpose it in some way? Or maybe it isn't about knowledge at all, but some other facet of learning. Technology facilitates communication, but that communication may take a number of different forms. In this conceptualization, communication is categorized in 4 different ways: as content creation, connectivity and rapport, collaboration and sharing, and then only finally as being about knowledge in its transfer, its aggregation, and its modification. Content creation may use a readily available technology such as PowerPoint or Word. You may ask students to create some resource based on their research and to present it to you in a Word document. This is fairly conventional learning, but we take for granted the fact that we are in fact deploying media and technology to make it happen. We may want students to be able to visualize data in a different form, and so the technology required to produce a graphical representation of data may mean alternative forms of media. Connectivity and rapport is a feature of much of social media, and you may choose to leverage this in your course for full learning effect. You might allow students to choose their own media in order to convey some learning intent. One student might choose to provide a 15-second Instagram video and another to share their Twitter feed. If these technology are unfamiliar to you, it may be worth considering what level of digital exposure you currently have and what level you may need in order to keep up to date in your practice. Although people don't talk much about Web 2 as they used to, the collaborative technologies that have emerged over the last 20 years remain significant. Collaboration and sharing for students frequently goes well beyond the confines of the VLE and its discussion forums. Students are collaborating in Google Docs, in Facebook, and increasingly in a variety of different messaging platforms, of which Instagram and Twitter are merely 2. Knowledge transfer is probably what most people think of when we think about media and when they're faced with a choice for their course. We find it often easier to think about the content knowledge that needs to be conveyed rather than to think about the skills we want students to acquire. Clearly, knowledge is important in learning and it's worthy of our attention, but it's not the only facet of learning that we should be paying attention to. Consider a range of different media and their associated technologies, and think about the different skills that are required to use them effectively. You may find it useful to think in terms of what you want the student to do. It is rare in higher and professional education that we want students simply to listen. Normally we are anticipating that students will act with knowledge or be creating knowledge themselves in some shareable form.